Okay, our next step is creating CSS3 transitions. I am starting on page 341. Before HTML5 and CSS3, animating something in a web page required an external file created in a separate application, and they said such as Adobe Animate. But before that, it was Flash. Or a script that would have managed the change, such as JavaScript that drives sprite objects like menu bars. Features in HTML5 and CSS3 allow you to create animations directly in the HTML page without the need for Flash or JavaScript. This has several advantages. First, no plugins are required to support the animation because all the changes, called transitions, are driven by CSS. Second, CSS3 transitions are fairly easy to create if you have a basic understanding of CSS selectors and properties. Dreamweaver makes it very easy to define CSS3 transactions based on the selections in a file. In this stage of the project, you will use two different methods to animate specific elements and properties. So we're going to start with first restricting element height and overflow. CSS selectors gives you extensive control over the elements on the page. In this exercise, we are going to force the three dot feature sections elements to be a specific height in the extra small layout, showing only the headings until the user taps on the element. In the next exercise, you will use that transition to make the overflow visible. So we're going to start by first making the smallest one to where you only see the headings and not the whole thing like what you're seeing here. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to click the max width of 767.98. So we're going to click right here in this one like so on the query bar to snap the scrubber bar to that point, which is exactly what we did. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click the plus sign right down below it. You can just go straight down and you'll see a plus sign, and what that's going to do is open up a dialog box called max width. And it says change the max width field to 767.98 and choose CSS design, which is already showing the CSS design, and then click OK, which is exactly what I did. Now it says show the DSS design in the coding panel, so I click that, and then locate the media query at the end of the existing code. So what I want you to do is scroll all the way down, and sure enough, there it is. There's our max width 767.98 that we typed in. And what we are going to do is place the insertion point after the opening bracket. So click right after the opening bracket and hit enter. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a new feature selection rule. So type dot feature selection, and you can just select it right there. Okay, and do a colon, and then what we are going to do is say 55 pixel and do a semi colon, and then hit enter. And our next one is overflow with a colon. Oops, not a semicolon, a colon. Okay, and this one we're going to do hidden with a semicolon. Now, let's talk about those. And when we do an overflow, well, let's talk about the whole thing. The max height property allows an object to extend up to the defined height. This is different than a height property, which defines a specific fixed height for an element. However, by default, an element will occupy as much space as necessary to display all of its content. To hide the overflow content, that's the information that's below on each one of those, you have several different options. If I use the auto option, it adds scroll bars to the element. If I use the hidden section, what it does is it clips the overflow content to where it's actually hidden. If I choose the word inherent, it applies the overflow value to the parent element. If I use scroll, it adds scroll bars to the element, even if there's no clipped content. And then visible causes all of the content to be visible. Now what we are going to do is review the results of all the new properties in live view. So let's go up and do a file, save all, and flip back to live view. And you will notice, hopefully, that what happens okay, and we want to be smaller, I believe. Okay, it did not show the way I was hoping it would show, so hang on, I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Okay, I can see what I did. I did not put a closing bracket, or for some reason it did not put a closing bracket, so I'm going to add the closing bracket. Okay, and do a file, save all, and see if it fixes it. Let's go back to live view. No, it's still showing them open. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, silly me, I see what I've done wrong. It should have been an opening bracket right here. Okay, and then I needed to put max height, semicolon. Okay, tab that over once, and tab that over once. Okay, and do a file, save all. Oh dear, some reason I accidentally closed it. Let me bring it back open. It should be working properly now. Yes, now it's done exactly what it's supposed to with shopping, entertainment, and special events, and that's all based on the design CSS that was written right here at the bottom with the max height, and need to move this bracket down, feature selection section, max height 55 pixels, overflow hidden. And what it's done now is it's closed all the information up, and our next step is to use the transition panel to create it to open up, and that is what we're going to be doing next on page 343. Okay, so on page 343, we're going to use the transition panels. And in this exercise, you will use CSS transition panel to show the overflow content of the container elements when the user mouse hovers over them. Dreamweaver CSS transition panel makes this process fairly easy, and the required CSS code is created for you. So with index.html open, we are going to go and select extra small. So let's go up here to the green, to the 575.98. And what we are going to do is we are going to click the shopping H2 element, okay, which is where we are, and then use the tag selector down here to select the div just to the left of it. And we are going to go up to Window and open the CSS Transition panel. So go Windows, CSS Transitions, and it opens up a dialog box that shows CSS Transitions, which you probably cannot see on my screen. And at the very top of that, you'll see a plus sign, which is creating a new transition. We're going to click that, which opens up the new transition dialog box. And in the target rule area, we're going to type in feature selection, just like it's written with the period. So make sure you put the period first, and then feature dash section. Okay. Once we have feature section in that area, make sure it's spelled correctly. In the transition on box, we want to choose hover. Once we have that in, we're going to go down to the duration field and type in 0.5. And in the delay, we're going to type 0. And in the timing function, what you want to do is select linear. Okay, so what we have put in this dialog box you can't see is in target rule is period feature dash section. In the transition on box, we have selected hover. In the duration field, we have put 0.5. In the delay field, we have put 0. And in the timing function, we have put linear. On the left-hand side of the property dialog box in that, you're going to choose you're going to click the plus at the bottom of that properties box, and what you want to find is max height. So you're going to have to go down to the M's and choose max height to be put in that box. And in the end value field, what you want to put is 999 and hit the tab key. Okay, so everything we've done so far is target role is got feature dash section, transition on is hover, duration is 0.5, delay is 0, timing function is linear. In the property box on the left hand side, you click the plus sign and choose max dash height, and then end value 999. And once you have done all of that, you can click create transition. And it has created a transition on the shopping one. Now, if I go up and show design CSS in the up in the top up here to where it is, I am going to see that for feature section, let's go find feature section. I'm not seeing it in here. Hang on. Okay, scroll down to the bottom and you will see media at that width, features section, okay, with the max height, blah, 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 overfill, and the WebKit transition, which has now been placed right below it. If we go up and choose live view in the live view options, and let's go up and choose view and go down to live view options and make sure that hide live view display is turned on. But when you do that, you can see that indeed when I hover over shopping, okay, or entertainment or special events, that they all work. Okay, so once I have done that, let's go back up to view. I want to turn that back off. And let's display the code panel, for index.html, and locate that first div tag with the feature class on shopping. So we're going to click on shopping. Maybe highlight it would be the best way. There it is. And here's our div class with the feature selection class. And what it wants us to do is place the insertion point immediately after the opening div class, which is right after the div and before the class definition of feature section. Okay, and we're going to press the space bar and type in on click and with the equal sign, and then parentheses like so. And then it's really, really easy to just take from class to div and do a control C, and we've got to put the same thing in entertainment. So let's go find the entertainment one. And the div class with the feature, which is right here, and do a control V and put the unclick there and go to special news. What we are doing is this allows it to be not just a hover, because you're going to have people using fingers. And what this does is this allows just a finger use. Okay, now what we're going to do is a file, save all. And then what happens is if I go back to these, it doesn't matter whether it's a finger or a mouse, these will automatically open up the way that they're supposed to. So we have actually finished this. The very last thing that you are going to need to do is make an STE in case you need it later. So we are going to go to Manage Sites. We are going to, with the Manage Sites open, we're going to click on the file folder with an arrow to export it as an STE, and I am going to go find on my desktop, I'm going to go find my Boulevard folder, and I'm going to place it inside my Boulevard folder and click Save. So I have an STE, and that completes this project. I hope it wasn't too confusing for you with the missing part, but I just try to do the best I can. I miss you guys horribly. So anyway, that's the end of the chapter. Thank you very much.